Hi, everybody. There's Stephanie. Oh, hi, Mom. Let's get her on here. Hi, Jordan. Like my favorite people on this. My mom and Jordan. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I actually showered and did my hair for you. So this is like the most I've gotten. I did put on my fancy sweatshirt. So
I know, right? I'm happy that I got your fancy sweatshirt. That's so exciting.
I'm really happy you're here. How are you doing? How's your week going so far?
It's going well so far. Everyone's at school. We're good. It's a good week when people are at school.
I was gonna say that's like the new. I feel you on that. Like I feel like if you had said that to us like 3 years ago, we would have been like, eh. And now we're like, they're just at school.
Yes.
That's all we can ask for.
Yes. They're at school. We can leave the house. We're good.
I hear you. So thank you for doing this. We are so excited. I'm gonna do a little intro on you, and then I will let you kind of explain what you do because I think it's pretty unique, and you are, from everything I've read, so inspiring, and I know you help so many families. So Stephanie is a Fresh Starts Registry resource expert guide, and she's on there. And she is I would say, but a parent coach, right, and a life coach. And can you tell us kind of how you got into this and how you work with families and what you do?
Yeah. So how I got into this, I have a 4.5-year-old, and when he was first born, like I always wanted kids. It was sort of on my list, right? Like always just wanted kids, and I had this vision of what it was going to look like. And then I had my son, and 3 or 4 weeks into it, I was like, holy cow, like what is happening? It was almost like this life that was mine, that I had complete control over for the most part, all of a sudden became out of my
Right.
and that I didn't have any time, like any sense of self anymore. It was like everything that I was doing was for others or for the home. Like I started playing this role that I didn't agree to, and I didn't want to play. And I noticed how it really affected my relationship with my husband and my son that was developing. And I remember there was like one night where he wanted to play with me with a toy truck, and and I wasn't doing it right, and he cried and I screamed and then I cried, and I was just like, I want to feel happier. Like I want to enjoy this more.
Yeah.
So I found myself a life coach, which was completely transformative. I'd never done that before. I'd only been in therapy. And coaching was just something completely different. And once I saw the changes in my life, I was like, oh my gosh, my mission is to help other moms experiencing this get to the other side where they're more in control of their emotions, their life. They feel like that they're leading role in their life.
Yeah.
And not just like a,
I
second.
love that.
Yeah.
I love that. A leading role in their life. I think that's huge. And I think it's something like we don't talk about as moms, right?
Yeah.
Like the change that you're going to go through. I very much, that resonates. I feel like, when you enter parenthood, you walk through a door and the rest of your life is, in front of you and the past is behind you and you're like, where am I?
Yeah.
And it's very confusing. So how do you work with families now? Like, what do you do? How do people get in touch with you? How does that work?
Yeah, so I work with people one-on-one, moms and dads. I work in like a 3-month package, so they sign up for 12 sessions, and we work one-on-one, and it's really like it goes to work solving problems. Like we talk about what's going on in your life. What problems are you having? Are you screaming at your kids? Are you feeling disconnected? Are you overwhelmed, stressed? And we go to work sort of solving it. And this isn't about like toxic positivity or thinking happy thoughts. It's about how do I handle and experience these real emotions in my life?
Yeah.
And create more of what I want, which also therefore teaches your kids to do the same. It's so funny. We're all like, kids, regulate your emotions, stop feeling angry and acting on it. But like we're over here being like, I never learned how to do that.
Yes, it's so true. I worked with a couple different like behavioral therapists in terms of my kids and stuff. And it was always about me. It's so little about the children and it's always about the person, which is something I came in and I remember saying to the woman, like, he's doing this, and she's like, well, what are you doing? Right. And it's like, oh, so I love that. So, okay, let's get into it. we are living in some hard times.
Uh,
I saw somebody on Twitter, actually, she said, what is it like to parent not in these times? Is it actually fun? And I think it's so true. A lot of people have had children in the last couple of years. They started families. They don't know any other way to parent.
yeah.
So can you just like give us some tips? Like, and that's not just about now, but I know from my perspective, getting divorced is a full-time job. And my kids were really little at the time. And it's very hard, like you said, to regulate your emotions, to compartmentalize what's happening and all of that stuff. What are, like, whether it's maybe a divorce, maybe you're grieving somebody, maybe there was a natural disaster. What are some just general tips the parents can use to parent during these like really chaotic times?
Yeah, and I think that's a really great question because, like, sort of what you said, it comes back to you. It's really easy to look outward and say, okay, like walking around the house, oh, there's dishes to be done, there's laundry that needs to be folding, the floors need to be clean, and to feel like those sense of accomplishments or those accomplishments will make you feel better, like going through the list. But like you said, it's really recognizing, like, if this is regulated and this is calm and this is where you're screaming or dysregulated, I feel like a lot of parents, humans right now, are operating up here.
Yeah.
It's like at baseline, we aren't feeling many calm, regulated feelings, which makes those triggers, our kids or something, bring us up here. So it's really thinking about noticing, okay, how am I feeling? Even if you're watching this right now, it's like, how are you feeling right now at this moment? And it's almost like when those triggers aren't in front of you, like your kids. That's the best time to be able to recognize and focus on that.
So I have a question for you on this, because something a lot of people don't realize when they walk into parenthood, I was grateful, kids are very triggering. Kids are so triggering for a variety of reasons. They could trigger something your own parents did or said to you. They could trigger something a friend said, trigger different emotions. Can you talk a little bit just for a second about like kids as triggers? Because I feel like there's a lot of shame we have as parents about when our kids trigger us, but that's not something we can always control, right?
No, of course they're triggering you. It's so funny, right? Like, our kids shouldn't trigger us. Like, of course they are. There are these little humans who are saying no to us, have their own personalities. Again, we come from I think a lot of our generation was parented like, don't cry, don't be angry. Talk to me when you're calm. Here's a cookie if you stop crying. So we weren't taught to feel our emotions. We were taught to push them down and that they weren't okay, especially women. Like, we were taught that they weren't anger and these things aren't okay to express. So when we see these things in our children, it really triggers us because it's like, that's not okay. I was taught that wasn't okay. I don't know how to handle that in myself. Right. So I think that, like you said, like, there's a lot of shame around it, but one thing I would say is, like, of course they're triggering and there's no shame in that. And it doesn't mean you don't love them and that they aren't amazing.
Right.
You can love your kids and they can trigger you.
I think that's a huge thing that parents need to know. Like, if you could shout that from the rooftops, I think it's really important, because I do think as mothers especially, we hold so much guilt and shame about the way that we respond to our children. And so I love that. Somebody said, feeling perpetually bored right now because everything seems risky to do with young kids. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, right. And I think that's, again, it's like about what we're surrounding ourselves with in terms of like the news and the media and the need to always be on top of it so we know what's safe. It's triggering a part of our brain, our primal brain, which wants to keep us safe, right? The back part, not the logical thinking brain, that is like, oh, there's a lion coming. Like, I need to hide from the lion so I survive. And now there's not lions anymore. It's kids. It's the pandemic, which has a different type of threat to it. So again, it's triggering that part of us that wants to hibernate to keep our entire family safe.
So what do we do? So, like, let's say that you're up to here, and you have work, your clients are calling and the kids are screaming. How do you find calm within that tornado in the house?
The first thing is recognizing it's not going out there to fix your feelings, blaming your kids or doing that. It's like, first, it's like, what do I need right now?
Wow.
Me. What do I need? Most of the time when that happens for me in those like incredibly chaotic moments, it's like putting my hand on my chest. It's like, I'm feeling frustrated right now.
Right.
This is a moment of frustration.
Okay.
And then when you can acknowledge and recognize that like so many other moms are feeling this right now, it is incredibly normal to be feeling frustrated and overwhelmed. Nothing has gone wrong.
Right.
You can decide what action you want to take. I like to say, saying no to something. What is one thing that you can say no to?
And that's really hard for women. I think a lot of women are people pleasers, right? So what you're unlocking is Pandora's box of like layers of things for people to work on. But it could be something small, right? I mean, like that's the thing, right? It could be like, you know, like saying no to not doing laundry for a day or keeping the dishes in the sink, and right.
That's exactly it. It's like, am I feeling exhausted at 7 p.m. that I can say no to doing the laundry tonight, knowing that whether it gets done in 2 days or 1 day, like it doesn't matter, that like my happiness or me being able to sleep and read that book is actually what will help me be a calmer parent tomorrow.
Which goes back to self-worth, right? Yeah. It's all about self-worth.
Yeah. Yeah. So what can I say no to? And again, the little things. Is it no to folding the laundry? Like in my closet right now, I have a huge thing of just like clean laundry that I'm just pulling out of. Because I'm like, that's what I'm saying no to right now. Because I notice that if I can say yes to, again, reading that book or sitting down for 5 minutes, like that's what's going to help bring me down to that more calm place, so that when my kids do come home, or that I am in line with that trigger, that I am filling myself up.
Right. That makes sense. I love that. And I love how you're making it about self-regulation for the adult. Yeah. And that is something that we can control our emotions. The children might not be able to control theirs, but we can model for them how to control our emotions.
Yes. And I also think requesting help, I always say unemotionally, because a lot of times, again, we see that sink full of dishes or that laundry, and it goes into all falls on me. I have to do it all. Like, of course, I'm the one who sees it. No one else sees it. So whether you're requesting help from a partner or even from your kids, right? Like our kids are capable, if brought into it, of putting dishes in the sink or helping put away laundry, maybe not the way that we would like, or our partners, again, unemotionally. It's like thinking about them like a coworker, like, hey, can you do this?
Yeah, and sometimes I find it's a matter of, like my boys are 5 and 8, and it's just a matter of like changing the dialogue, right? So like giving them the hamper and saying, okay, find all the dirty socks in the house, right? Like go, you're a garbage man now, you know, and like making it fun for them. But it's I think, you know, it's so good to teach them early, just, you know, slowly about responsibility and doing all that without making it about, because sometimes I know in the heat of the moment, we're all like, don't you see mommy is tired and stressed, you know, but making it not about us and more about general community help, I think.
Exactly. Like kids love to be helpers. And like you said, approached from that calmer, unemotional, fun place, like unemotional place. Like they want to contribute. They want to help.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Okay. So give us another tip. What do we do in these chaotic parenting world?
I have some tips here I'm looking at. So again, I really think like in the heat of the moment, it's like asking yourself, like, let's say you're at that really high trigger, like, what do I need right now? And I know I said that before, but sometimes like if your kid's screaming and you're about to yell and all this, it's that like taking away that urgency of I have to respond, this has to be taken care of right now. I have to react or yell, right? Or flee, or one of those,
right?
To that, me taking this moment and figuring out what I need will actually help me help them.
Interesting. Because nobody screaming is going to help anything.
Yeah. Right. And we're mirroring our kids' emotions. That's what's happening. And as humans, our brains, that's how they work. They mirror, and they tend to mirror someone else's emotions. So that's why a lot of time with our kids, we see it and then we tend to mirror it. And the goal is to be able to recognize that we can control our emotions, and our brain likes what's easy. So it will go to like, let's just yell, let's just scream. It's easy. It's sometimes effective. Like it feels good. So it's almost going against that, again, stress response urge to being like, this is what's going to create the more long-term relationship and teach our kids to do the same, right? Like every mom's like, how do I raise this like well-rounded child? like whatever. And I don't even believe in creating happy children because happiness isn't, you know, life isn't happy. We want like, I would say we want like children who have positive self-concepts.
Oh, I love that. I love that because you're right. Because when we put it on our children that you should be happy and then they're not happy, then it's like there's like so many other emotions that come along with that.
I think that's like us now. I think we were like a lot of the people that I coach and myself, like sort of how we were raised, like be happy. And that's the goal. And now we're realizing happiness isn't like 100% happiness isn't achievable. So it's getting comfortable and recognizing in these moments that these other emotions are okay. They are allowed and they're not wrong. Like good moms feel anger.
I love that. And also, you know, if we don't feel other things, then the happiness is not going to feel as wonderful when we do feel the happiness, right?
Yeah.
So my own mom is listening. Hi, Mom. And she said, moms don't have the luxury of dreaming up fun, creative ideas for exploring the world with their children, you know, because we're all tired. We're all just exhausted. So I have two questions for you, Stephanie. Mm-hmm. What are like just two really quick self-care things? And I'm using self-care. I don't really love the term self-care. Yeah. But what are like some two self-care things that moms can do that can help them? And also, what's something that if you do feel that rage inside, which that mom rage is a real monster, what can you do in that moment? Like, can you go in the bathroom and scream? Like, what's acceptable for a mom to do to get that rage out?
Yeah. Okay. So for the two self-care things, again, I think the goal is to get out of our thoughts and into our bodies. Like our brains are racing, and in order to like regulate and feel that calm, it's like getting out of our head. So one thing, and I think it's like experimental. I think a lot of times people may try this and be like, this doesn't work for me. So I really encourage any mom listening to try things to see what works and try them multiple times. For me, it's really listening to music. Like I put on songs from like high school. Yeah. Like, right, yeah, like I put in 2003, I put on some like early 2000s, and I suck at dancing, but like just like 30 seconds. There's actually some research.
Backstreet, it solves everything. It does. I don't.
Like a short walk around the neighborhood. Yeah. Again, these things feel they're very repeated. You probably have heard them before, but they are really the ability, like you filling yourself up will then allow you to like take care of your kids in the way that you want.
Right. And I think that it's counterintuitive in the beginning, but I think once you start to see it happen, like getting a little more sleep, taking time to read and put your phone down, leaving the dishes in the sink, you know, and I think we can expand self-care, right? Self-care can also mean leaving the laundry.
Yes,
whatever works for you.
Or watching Netflix.
Right, exactly. Or playing on your phone, you know, whatever makes you happy. So talk about that rage for a second. What are some ways we can get that rage out so we're not completely punching it down into our stomach?
Yeah. Okay. There's like a beautiful place where you feel and then you act. All of our behaviors come from a feeling, right? So a lot of times we think that this rage is automatic, that we have to respond to it. But when you can become aware of like your body tensing, that pause, that moment that you're like, I'm about to blow. Mm-hmm. And we have a pantry. I put myself in my pantry and shut the door. I'll like put my hand, I'll be like, mommy's feeling really overwhelmed right now. I need to take a minute to calm my body. That's actually really helpful to say out loud. Yeah. Like, and again, we're teaching them what they can do when they're feeling that. Oh, I can say I'm feeling overwhelmed. Okay. And then I feel it. It's so important just to feel it. I'll put myself in the pantry. I'll take a couple deep breaths.
Yeah, I love it.
And what's really interesting is my son started doing the same. He'll he goes into the pantry, like that's weird, but he's learning how to manage these really intense emotions.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to feel it in your body and have the awareness of like, my body's doing that thing where it tenses, my jaw clenches, my throat tightens, and
you feel like a volcano about to explode. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, and I love that. And I think what you said was really important because we worry that we're gonna look like a bad mom or give them a bad example, but by voicing what's going on, I do the same. Like you, like, you know, I'll even say I am very frustrated and grumpy right now. You know, like my boys wanted me to go out in the snow the other day, and I was not in the mood to go in the snow, and I did it. And then they wanted to stay out there and I didn't. And I literally said, I'm hungry and grumpy and tired and wet and cold. And I just don't want to be outside.
Yes.
Because I wanted them to know, like, it's not them. It's that I'm feeling a specific way.
Yeah, and I think what's so powerful too is like your boys get to see you as like a woman who's taking care of herself, who listens, who isn't just people pleasing, right? Who's listening to like, I'm hungry and grumpy and I'm figuring out what I need. So that when they like have friendships or colleagues or a partner one day, that's what they can expect from a woman in their life. And like that's what it starts with you, it starts with us, which I always think about with my boys too. Like, you know, it can have the narrative like it's selfish, but like no, it's actually changing their perception of what they can expect from a woman.
I love that. And I think it's so true. And I think that's how we're going to change the next generation of people. For sure. It's all these little things and we don't think about them because we're so, especially now, so isolated in our homes. But we are changing the next generation of people who are going to be the policymakers and who are going to do all these things. And they're going to have much more compassion for people than perhaps other generations did.
I agree.
I love all of that, Stephanie. So just for the people that came on, tell us one more time, if I'm a parent and I'm having, what are the type of things that parents come to you for? Let's say, like, I want people to know, like, if they're struggling with XYZ, to call Stephanie.
Yeah, it's the parents who, I so many different things, but parents who are feeling like they are just getting angry and overwhelmed and that they're living in like dysfunction, that they just can't get control over either their reactions or they're taking it out on their kids, right? And they want to create a different life so that they can connect with their kids. They want to create a different experience. It's people who want to connect more with their partners, approach it more like teammates, stop the resentment and anger, like really stop that cycle and learn how they can partner together.
So people that maybe are parenting that are sitting there thinking, this is not the life I expected I was going to have.
Yeah.
And like how you can get to them to that point so they come to you. You can, by the way, go to Starts Registry's website. Stephanie is on the resource guide. You can click one button and get in touch with her. And she's also, I think your name is everywhere, right? Stephanie Rosenfield is your handle everywhere. Yeah. And you have packages you work with people. So and it's all virtual, obviously.
All Zoom.
And what does the package entail? It's calls or Zooms or
it's 12 Zoom sessions. We meet for once a week for 45 minutes for 12 sessions, and I share like in between different podcasts and like concepts and like takeaways and like little things to help you in the in-between time. And really when I say homework, it's like you take what we do together and you implement it immediately.
Yeah. And I have read your test. I've read Stephanie's testimonials. She is life-changing. People love working with her. We are so excited. She's kind of our go-to parent coach for Fresh Starts. And so we are so happy to have you. And if you are interested in working with Stephanie, get in touch with her. Make sure to follow her. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with us? Like any words of wisdom?
Thank you. I'm really excited to be a part of this, and I love it.
Thanks, Stephanie. And we will definitely do this again soon. Follow Stephanie. She is the go-to person to help you get to where you want to be and connect with your children and your family in these really crazy times, especially. Thank you, Stephanie. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.